Hey everyone, I'm Emmy. Welcome to Emmy Knits and Pearls. This is my knitting channel where I just talk about everything that I've been knitting. I'm a beginning knitter, so only started really seriously knitting probably like mid-October. So it's been about 4 or 5 months, and I've just really enjoyed watching all these videos while knitting, and I wanted to just kind of participate and like build my knitting community just because where I am based in the American Southeast, I just don't have that many like in-person knitting friends, so hoping to make some online ones. And I live here with my dog Molly, who you may have seen in the last video in the intro, and my cat V. Molly is on a walk right now with my husband, and V may be popping in or out. She is very, as you can imagine, as a cat, she's very interested in yarn. So I've been providing her a lot of entertainment as I knit. But this is going to be a typical knitting podcast. So first going through finished objects, then works in progress, and then acquisitions. I have a lot of acquisitions. I just came back from Paris, and so I was able to go to 2 knitting stores there and pick up some things, but we'll get to that at the end. So to start, what I'm wearing is my favorite things knitwear. Oh wow, can't remember, Blouse number 1. The simplest name, but Blouse number 1, I knit. This was my first ever sweater. I talked about it a little bit in my last video, but it was super easy to knit. The instructions were really clear. It's just a top-down sweater. I would recommend it for beginners, and I used the Juniper Farms Cumulus Hearth, which is actually a cotton yarn. So today actually is very snowy, so it doesn't really fit the climate, but inside our house is nice. This is the perfect I think it's like the perfect weight for like a heavier kind of sweater, or sorry, a heavier top, lighter sweater. Okay, so my first finished objects I don't actually have. It is the King Salmon sweater by Caitlin Hunter. I'll put some pictures up on the screen of me wearing it, and then also my sister wearing it, who is the recipient of that gift. It was started as a gift knit originally for my husband, and I measured it's okay, so it's a unisex pattern, and I measured his chest, to see what size it is, and it wasn't like his chest circumference wasn't that much bigger than mine, like maybe 6 or 7 inches. And so normally I knit like the size 1 or 2 in patterns, and which is like extra small to small, and then he would be like a large to extra large. And so I knitted the I knitted size 4, which maybe is either the large or extra large, I'm not sure. But it was corresponding to his chest circumference. And as I was doing the color work, I noticed that it was looking really tight, and I've heard that. Like, this was my first color work sweater. So in general, I hear that people, just like depending on how you hold your yarn, the color work may be really tight. And so I should have accounted for that. Like, I heard people saying that in knitting videos, like this. That's why I like watching, knitting podcasts and things, because then you learn these tips. But I hear that people size up in their needle size for color work. I didn't do that, and also the size I picked was probably too small for him, so it didn't work out. I forgot to mention the yarn that I used. It was from Colourmart, which is this website where they take like industrial knitting leftovers, like the yarns on a cone or bobbins, and then they sell them. So usually you can find like really nice yarn for more affordable prices, just because it's usually like limited quality, or not quality, limited quantity. Like once they sell out of something, they'll be out of it. But I got this lovely extra fine merino in a dark green color, and then it was called it was another wool, but it was called like Cordonetto, which was like extra twisted in white. And I think it was a few things that kind of messed up the fit. So one, just to be on the safe side, since he's between sizes, I probably should have done an extra large. And 2, I'm not sure how I feel about unisex patterns. Like, I think most of the time it would be fine, but even though the sweater in the chest fit him well, it was the shoulders and the arms that were really tight. So I just wonder about like adjustments that need to be made in patterns for men and women, just depending on like depending on people's builds. Like maybe some men could be fine in a unisex pattern, but it definitely was too small for my husband. So I kind of mentioned I wish I had done like knitted the color work in a bigger needle size. I wish I'd knitted a bigger size. And then another part of it is that I think that the yarns I chose were not very compatible for color work. I think I should have done a color work swatch. So when I was gauge swatching, I just used the green, which was the body color, and I probably should have done like maybe just a little motif of like the trees with the green and the white together, because then I would have seen how, because the white yarn was much more twisted, it kind of pulled the green yarn in, like kind of indented look, or like it was sort of uneven. So like in an ideal world, I would have used the same color or the same type of yarn in different colors. But you know, I'm a beginner. That was my first color work sweater. I love the pattern, or like the motif was really beautiful. And the other thing that I did is that I made some modifications, because I heard that the underarm, because it's a circular yoke, the color work is like goes to here, and then you basically, or like maybe here, and then you split for the sleeves after you're finished with the color work, which makes it really easy for a beginner. But some people complain that like when you lift your arm up, there'll be like a bunch of just like hanging fabric, and I didn't want that. I can use the link of the Ravelry, or I'll attach the link of the Ravelry user who whose modifications I used. But I think those modifications would be more fitted for a female body size, just because when I think the sweater might have worked on my husband if I hadn't made those modifications. So basically the modification was splitting for the sleeves earlier. So instead of like finishing the entire color work to here and then splitting for the sleeves, you split like at a more natural place, like where someone's armpit would be. The trouble was that then I had to do a little finagling to get the color work to like be continuous after I split, which was fine. But then the color work was on the arms. So then the arms also became very tight, because anywhere that I had color work, it was very tight. So this has gone, I don't know, this is like kind of become rambly. There were a lot of things that I should have changed. And I actually am going to try again, just because I did promise my husband this sweater and he really likes the pattern. Just like for boredom, I was kind of like, do you like any other patterns? And he was like, not really. So I am going to knit it for him. And I got the same, learning from those mistakes, I'm going to remeasure him just to be sure, but I'm going to knit a size 6 or 7, so 2 to 3 sizes up from what I did. And then also I bought new yarn, Cascade 220. I'm just looking at my computer here, so just looking at my notes. But this color is what is it? Olive Heather. Really beautiful dark green. I'm using the same colors because he chose his colors, so everything is pretty much the same minus the size in the yarn. So actually, not everything is the same. And then this is just the natural colorway, which is undyed. So it's like a creamy white. And so, yeah, follow along with my attempts at making the sweater. I really hope that it works out. So what I'm doing better, using the same yarn. So hopefully I won't have the weird tensioning where one yarn was like more twisted and like fluffier, or more twisted, less fluffy than the other. I'm going to knit a size up, and then I'm not going to do any modifications. So you'll get to see how the pattern is supposed to look like as written. Yeah, he was like, I don't care if it has more underarm fabric as long as it fits. So we'll see about that. That is my main finished object. I have a work in progress, which is let me grab it. Okay. It's the Umma sweater by Aeygoknits, and I am knitting it in Lion Brand's Fisherman's Wool. And here it is. So this pattern is really interesting because it is a top-down construction, but it has this front flap. So one interesting thing is you like flip it inside out. So that's why I have a stitch marker for marking what is the right side, because the way I actually knit it is by like twisting it inside out. So it has this lovely ribbed collar, like kind of turtleneck situation. And then it's going to have these flaps. You can kind of see, this is the front flap. And then this is the back flap. So what I'm doing, so it's knitted, like you start with the collar, it's top down. You start with the collar, then you have to split for the front and the back. And then when you split for the front, you also split into the front flap and the back flap. So you end up having 3 moving parts. And it's a little bit, the pattern was categorized as difficult. I feel like the only tricky bit, like the most tricky bit, is the top, like where you're splitting the front into the 2 panels, and then the back. The way I kind of kept track is I like color coded my stitch markers, so I knew like which working yarn was supposed to be, or like which flap was the correct one, and I just like wrote down a color code chart. But right now, as you can see, I have finished the front flap and the back flap here. It's curling. And I'm on the I finished the inner flap on the front and the back flap. And now I'm doing the outer flap of the front. And then once I get this one down to the same length, then I'll join like for the body and then do sleeves. I think the only tricky bit is the top. But I really like this pattern. I think it's a really like modern yet timeless look. I am knitting it in Lion's brand Fisherman's wool, and I meant to have, I thought I had another skein here. My pile is starting to like creep. All my things I'm going to show you are like creeping into my frame here. But this is Lion's brand Fisherman's wool. This is a super economical wool. I want to say it's a DK weight. This is in the color dark chocolate brown, and I think it's a pretty like classic brown. My husband and I are actually doing a knit along. He started knitting maybe like 2 months after I did. Like just seeing me knit all the time, I think inspired him, and he started with a pair of gloves, and then he knitted me a pair of gloves. He used I think Tin Can Knits the world's easiest gloves pattern. Oh wait, maybe they're mittens. Yeah, mittens, the ones that have like a thumb and then 4 together. So he knit me a pair of mittens, and now he feels ready to knit a sweater. So we're going to do it together. Different sweaters, like he's not doing the Umma sweater, but we're going to use the same yarn. So he is doing, for his first sweater, he's going to do the Northland sweater by Petite Knit, and we're going to do it, yeah, in Line Brand's Fisherman's wool. And I would say this yarn is pretty, it's pretty woolly. It's pretty, I don't know if it's, yeah, I would say like maybe it's rustic. In retrospect now, I met, or my gauge, in general, I'm a loose knitter, and so my gauge was a little big. I think it was like 1 to 2 stitches larger than the recommended gauge, and I decided to knit an extra small instead of a small, to account for that. In retrospect, I should have knit another gauge in a smaller needle size and then kept my size the same. Because one thing I don't love about the sweater, or like how my sweater is coming out, it's not the pattern's issue, it's my issue, is that you can't really see it, like I'm sure in the video, but it's just pretty loose. Like I can see a lot of light coming through like whenever I do this, and I just wish that it was a little tighter of a gauge. That's completely my bad. I think as a beginner, it feels easier to be like, oh, I'll size up or down a whole size, instead of like trying to do gauge math of like, or like, you know, not being lazy and like re-knitting another gauge in a different needle size to meet gauge. So I'm learning. But yeah, I think my sweater is coming along. He's still doing his gauge swatch, so he's definitely behind me. But I'm really excited about that. I'm hoping I can get it done in the next like week or so, just so I can wear it before the weather turns. Where I am, it's like 50 to 60 degrees in the winter. There's some cold days like today with the winter storm going through the US, but there's not that many months to wear cold things, so I'm hoping to get it done. And okay, I did hear one thing on Ravelry about the Umma sweater is that people say the pattern is not well written. There are a few errors that are, or I have to like double check, but at least the errors that I saw were pretty obvious. Like there's some conversions of like when the correct measure is in centimeters, but then it's converted incorrectly to inches. But it makes sense because like it was just like really, it didn't make sense. Like if the neckline was going to be like 25 inches long or something. So there are mistakes, and I do feel like some people are like, oh, if it's a pattern, it should be like tested. I mean, I know it was tested, but there's just little things like that where maybe you have to be like a little more careful about like double checking, or like not just blindly following the pattern, and also like using common sense, and also maybe taking some advice from some of the people on Ravelry. There's not that many people that have knitted it, so there are a few like pinned posts on that list like some of the mistakes that they found. Okay, moving on. I have made progress on my Petal drop socks. I don't know how people knit socks. On our flight back from Paris, I worked on this for, it was a 9-hour flight. I worked on it for 4 hours, and I only got from here to here. So I only like finished the ribbing and then did the little heel flap. I'm just at the part where I'm picking up stitches to knit the rest of the sock. So far it's coming along well. It just takes forever. Like it's a fingering weight, sock yarn. I just got distracted, like talking about my issues with sock knitting, but these are my Petal drop socks by Florence Miller. I chose this pattern because she has a video tutorial, and for my first ever pair of socks, I wanted some hand holding. And then I'm knitting it in the Malabrigo's sock yarn. It is the color, I don't think I said the color last time. It's Valentina. It's really beautiful. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but it's kind of like light pink with some dark pink stripes, and it's really soft and it's really stretchy and it's very strong because of the nylon in it. But it's a combo of nylon and wool. But I mean, it's going. Like, I'm doing the pattern, and the pattern is very like reading. It's my first time reading a lace chart. I did a lace blanket before, but it was such a simple pattern that I just read like the written instructions. So it's my first time reading a chart, and so that has been good practice, but it's just taking so long. Like after I finish this sock, then I have to do another one. I'm like, if 4 hours on a sweater, I would have like the body done of a sweater. Okay, maybe not, but I would have a lot more done. So I think I'm just getting used to like sock knitting. I don't know that I'm trying as a beginner knitter to just knit one of everything. So I think like I'll always be knitting garments, but sometimes it's nice to have a smaller project where you can like take it on the go. And socks seem like a really easy project, or like a, on the go project. But this is like, guys, 4 hours of work. I don't know. Maybe I'll enjoy it more because it is not the simplest sock. Like doing the lace pattern probably does like take more, like more brain power, more time. It's a little lumpy in some areas, but you can tell. Let's see, what's a nice area to show you. I feel like I'm seeing mistakes, but like it's just like a simple dropped like, yarn overs, knit two together yarn over. So it's pretty easy. So we'll see about that if I'll continue it. At this point, I have done so much that I'm like, I know I have to, but maybe after this pattern, I'll give socks another try with just like a plain vanilla sock and see if I like it. But I don't know. I think my like secondary project or my on the go project might be something like, I don't know, like a hat or a scarf or something, because socks have not convinced me yet. But let me know if you have tips, or like if you love socks, let me know why. I would love to know. Okay. So, and then my last whip is I don't think I mentioned this last time, but it is the Triangle Garter Wrap by Purl Soho. I am knitting it in drops Nepal in light gray. I think I have ones to show you guys, but it's like drops Nepal in this light gray, super economical, like 100% wool, wool and alpaca mix. So 65% wool, 35% alpaca. I think it's a DK weight. And then I'm holding it with the Kid Silk mohair. Man, am I out of mohair? No. The Drops Kid Silk mohair in this dark gray, which is a fingering weight. And it's making this This is one of the first yarn purchases that I ever made, and I think I just like looked at the like Ravelry page of how much yarn other people used and then bought from that. I didn't yet realize how to calculate how much yarn to use. So like if anyone, this is super basic, but I didn't know this as a beginner. Like the pattern will say like 1200 meters of yarn, or they'll say like X many balls of this recommended yarn. So then you just look up the yardage or meters of that yarn and then multiply it by how many balls, and that's how many total, and then you divide by the yardage of the yarn you want to use, and that's how many balls you need. But why I'm bringing this up is because I am out of mohair, because I didn't calculate it correctly, because I didn't know how to do math. And so I think I just saw like somebody else had like maybe 15 balls of the Nepal and like 5 balls of silk. And I don't know, everyone has like different gauge. So I don't, or maybe they need a different needle size. Like I don't know why our yardage is not matching up, but I'm out of mohair. Or like after this one, I'll be out and I have this much wool, this much Nepal to go through. So something is off. Anyways, it looks a little funky because I'm in the middle of a row because I was kind of like impromptu going to film this today. But you can tell, or you can imagine, there's a lot of ends because the Nepal doesn't have that much yardage in one ball. It's like going to be a big triangle essentially. And then I'll have a photo from the Purl Soho site because it's a lot cuter than what it looks right now. But you wear it like it's like a wrap or like a shawl, but it's triangular. So then you can imagine like the wide part of the triangle will be on your back, and then you wrap the corners like around. And this, oh man, my knitting, I promise my knitting doesn't always like revolve around my husband. But this is also a gift from my husband that I started actually before his king salmon sweater. I think I am realizing that I don't like to promise gifts to people because then you have to do them, and then like when I lose inspiration, then I'm like, wow, I feel bad. I think my policy going forward is going to be knitting it and then like surprising them, because otherwise, like I bought this yarn in November. It was one of the reason I picked it is because it's all garter stitch, so I wanted to do just like a really simple present. So it's just knits, no purls, so that makes it really beginner friendly. And then you basically just can increase to where you run out of yarn, so it's not like, it's really not hard to do at all, like great beginner pattern. But yeah, he's just, I mean, he hasn't said anything, but I feel bad. Like first I haven't finished his wrap, and then I knit a sweater, but it was the wrong size. So we're just having some mishaps, and I feel bad because he actually knitted me a pair of mittens for Christmas, and he completed his. To be fair, like mittens are much smaller, but anyways, so it's going really well. This is a good project for on the go, just because it's like there's no like right side, wrong side. There's no purls. It's just pure knit. This is the one I take with me when I am doing like in lectures or like in meetings at work. So yeah, it's really great. I recommend it for just like super beginners. And I think it has like a cool kind of, I don't know why everyone's have like a Western look, but yeah, the Drops Nepal and Kid Silk are probably like some of the most affordable yarn you could get. And I think that is really important, just like as a beginner, to before you like commit. Or I mean, there's different styles, but at least for me, I was like, before I commit to a lot of like more expensive skeins, maybe I should see how much like this hobby actually keeps. And so I think Drops is like a really good option. The other thing is, some people are itchy with mohair, and especially with the wrapping part, like around his neck. He's not itchy, luckily, so I think that will be fine, but that would be something to consider. The pattern doesn't call for mohair. It's a Purl Soho pattern. So they call for their own, I think, like good wool. So that would be something to watch out for, is just like, if you're itchy, I don't know that the mohair would be a necessary addition. I kind of just wanted to, I didn't really know what mohair was at the time. I just kind of wanted to mess around with it and see how it turned out. And I think it's turning out nicely. Like the actual fabric, like has this nice halo. It's very warm. I imagine this is just going to be like a blanket that he wears like around his neck. So, okay, other things. I have a gauge swatch to show you. I had some leftover yarn from the King Salmon sweater. So this is the Colourmart dark green. And I gauge swatched for sweater number 31 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, which is a very simple cable cardigan. So I didn't end up filming a video for like everything I wanted to knit in 2025 just because I couldn't commit to a bunch of patterns. Maybe I'll do one. Feels late now for the year to do that, but maybe I will. I kind of was thinking to build up my skills in, like, I'm really curious about cables, and in my mind I really wanted to build up to a Dagmar jacket by Petite Knit. I think it's so beautiful, and I think that's something that it's like is classic and I would wear forever, but it's pretty intense, I think, for a first cabling project. And so this sweater number 31 seems like a easier pattern, and it's just one big cable basically. Let me get the ends, but I think it turned out pretty well. So it's really pretty. It's just like 3 stitches like crossed. I didn't use a cable needle, and it was like I just looked on YouTube on how to do that, and it was pretty simple. Now in my mind I was going to do sweater number 31 just to practice cables. I was going to do the like a more intricate cable pattern. I was looking at the Brady sweater by Sandnes Garn, which is actually one of my acquisitions. So Sandnes Garn patterns are not online. You just have to find them in store, and my local yarn store doesn't have them. So I was able to find this one from an Etsy shop, and as part of it, you have to buy some yarn. Like, brilliant marketing strategy, because to get the cute pattern, you have to buy yarn. So I got yarn for this project. I thought I had set it up here, but I guess I didn't. Well, sorry guys. Okay, here we go. Okay. I got Pure Gynt, the Sandnes Garn Pure Gynt by Petite Knit. And I don't know, I forgot what color this is. It's like a dark purple, but I'll put it in the link below. And I got the pattern. But this photo on the front doesn't really show like the kaling pattern, but I've heard that Sandnes Garn patterns don't hold your hand at all. They're very like, do this, do this, do this. And I think that's true. This was going to be my first knit, like my first cable knit sweater, because I was like, okay, just go for it. If like, you just go for it and see what happens. But if you've never cabled before, it's really intimidating, because it's like, okay, do all the things to make a sweater, make the collar, like make the like cast on things, and then it's like, do the chart, and the chart looks like this, and it's like, follow the chart. Next. I was like, whoa. I mean, I don't know. That's why I wanted to start with sweater number 31. But now, actually, I think after having worked on the petal drop sock some more and following a lacework chart, I feel like I could follow this chart. So I don't know. We'll see what cable sweater I actually end up getting. But hopefully the online picture that I'll put in the description has a better, or like in the video here, has a better picture of all the different cables. But it's basically like a thick cable, a thin cable. So hopefully it's not too hard. But yeah, we'll see what I end up going with. So that is one acquisition. And then Paris yarn haul. I got to visit Little Weasel, and then Little Weasel, and then another one called like Les Volants. I don't speak French. I don't know. I'll put it in the video. But it was really fun. I was going in knowing that I was going to get a sweater's quantity of mohair to match this brown cone that I have from Colourmart. I had ordered the Essayer like chocolate brown mohair back in early December, and it was on special order from Wool & Co. And I hadn't heard anything like before I left for Paris. So I emailed them, and they were like, oh, it's still on back order. Like, it should be another 2-3 weeks. And they offered to refund me, which was really kind. Or they offered to like let me keep my order as is and wait, or refund me. And I was kind of itching to get started. So I just had them cancel it, because I didn't, who knows how long. I don't know. I was tired of waiting. So what I got instead at Little Weasel was this Filcolana Tilia. I've heard really good things about Filcolana as an affordable brand, like really high quality for the price. You just can't, it's really hard to find in the US. I think it's like more of a European brand, like maybe some like Etsy shops sell it or like on eBay, but I haven't really found anyone that carries it. So I got this Tilia. It is 70% kid mohair and 30% silk. And it's like beautiful brown color. I think it'll match my cone. I don't my cone really well, so it might, like, because it's a lighter brown, it might create like a more marbled effect, but I think it'll look pretty together. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do with that one yet. Maybe the Carl Johan sweater by Pernille Larsen. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Okay, and then the main thing I was hunting for was The Art of the Sea by Laine Publishing. It's like the Moomin book where there's, I don't know if you guys have ever read Moomins, like by Tove Johnson, but I have read some of her adult novels. So she wrote the summer book, which was really cute, about this like little girl and her grandma living on an island, and like it's written for adults, so it's a lot about like childhood wonder and just like appreciation for the natural world. A lot of the playfulness that is in the Moomin books, and so I really, really wanted the patterns. There are two specific patterns that I wanted to get from here that you can't buy the patterns individually. You have to have the book. So this is the book. I was able to find it at I'll put the name here again because Les Volants something. They didn't have it at Little Weasel. They were sold out, but I will show you real quick the two patterns that I was looking at. So one that I really wanted. Okay, well, one that I really wanted is the Midsummer pattern by Maike van Hy. I can't say her name. I'm so sorry. I'll type it. But it's this. I think it's so beautiful, like for a nice spring sweater, and the color work looks fairly easy. It kind of reminds me of like, it's inspired by a flower crown that Tove Johnson used to wear, and it totally looks like that. And then the other sweater that I wanted to do was the flower loop sweater by Other Loops, but it's so cute. So both kind of similar colors for both of them, and like I was thinking they're both kind of spring patterns in my mind, so I don't know that I'll get around to both of them this year, but I'll definitely do one. And then I'll just show you, like, if you guys don't know who the Moomins are, I'll just show you one of the sweaters that has like their picture on it. They're like these little animated characters that are really fun and like go on adventures. Well, these aren't the Moomins, but they're characters from the Moomins. But hopefully you can see like the little embroidery on the bottom. But yeah, I'm so excited. I tried to buy this for myself for Christmas, and it's pretty pricey. It's like $40 or $50. But the shipping, when I was like, okay, I was thinking about it for a long time. I was gonna buy it for myself for Christmas. I got to check out on their website, and then the shipping was €45, and I was like, so I definitely was not gonna buy it for myself. And then I was like, wait, I'm going to Europe. Like, hopefully I can find it in a store. And I did. So, okay. And bear with me here. Two more acquisitions. This other one is from Paris also. This is from Little Weasel. It is the Rosa Pomar Mondim sweater. Not sweater. Mondim yarn. I got this in like a beige color. It's just a fingering weight wool, but I've just heard really good things about this yarn. It's a Portuguese wool, and I was just curious about it because I've just seen like some test knits that like call for it, or like some patterns that are written in it, and I was just curious. So I got that. It's pretty affordable. And then the last acquisition, I have a lot of brown, or like a lot of neutrals. I want my knits to be like, I want to be able to wear my knits at work. So that's the main thing, is that I've like been knitting things that are maybe like business casual appropriate. But okay, the last thing I have are these. Let me see. Is Purl Soho's Good Wool. It is a sport So they marketed it as a DK, but I saw a bunch of comments saying that it's more of a sport weight, and they actually changed it on the label, which is cool. So it's like a sport slash DK weight yarn, and it is this like, it's very squishy, very soft, very woolly. They have dyed colors, but they also have like 4 that are undyed, varying from like cream to brown. And I think it's really cool to use undyed yarn just because like this is how the sheep looks like when it came off. The issue is that I got 2 skeins from a Facebook Marketplace person that mailed them to me. I've been trying to buy things off like Facebook Marketplace and eBay just to make yarn more affordable. She only had 2 skeins, and that wasn't enough for a sweater, so I ordered 2 more from the website since Purl Soho was having like a 25% off sale. And the trouble is that, I mean, as is bound to happen, as this is undyed, like as it came off the sheep, they look a little different. So I don't know if you can tell in the light, but this is in the color Toffee Nut, and one of them, like when this lady on Facebook Marketplace listed it, I thought it was gray, but it's actually like a brown. And then the one that I got from Purl Soho is more of like brown. So I'm just worried that if I make I'm hoping to make a sweater out of them. Like probably one of the, I think I bought the pattern for the birdie sweater, which is one of the Baba dupes. I just think this would be so comfy for like a big, cozy, like winter sweater. But I'm a little worried about the color, like the dress, like I really think one is gray and one is brown. But I was doing some research, and I learned about alternating skeins. And in my mind, I thought it was like knit all with one skein and then knit all with another skein. I was like, I don't know how that's different than like switching yarn, than just like bringing in a new ball of yarn. And I was still worried it was going to have like stripes, but okay, beginner here. But alternating skeins is like you knit with like both of them at the same time, or both of them, you alternate rows. So then the gradation is not so obvious, like a huge gray chunk and a huge brown chunk. There are some videos that I watched. I haven't yet started my project, but hopefully once I do, I'll be able to show you guys like if there's a lot of variation or not, or variation or not. So, okay, I think that's all. This was a very acquisition heavy episode. Not that many finished objects, sorry. And I'm working on my whips. There's a little bit of like chaotic energy today just with the snowstorm. I feel like it's been dark and I've been just like wanting to like be cozy. But I wanted, where am I going with this? I don't know. Yeah, just like chaotic energy. We're also moving. So like our house is in disarray. And so is my yarn pile. But thank you so much if you have stuck around this long. I'm hoping to be more like be consistent with these podcasts and have them about every month or so. So let me know what you've been working on. You know, if you were working on something while watching this, let me know if you have tips about socks or like want to convert me into a sock lover. And also like if you have, other than, I think what I was looking at, the technique for alternating skeins is called helical knitting. If you have other advice for what to do with like dye lots that are pretty different, let me know. And I hope you guys stay warm and cozy. And okay, talk to you soon. Bye.